But that was not the law. That was racism speaking. Magistrate Oliver is a racist of note. And she must know that in her sleep, that she's a racist.
Before we continue with this full speech, the speech you have just watched was delivered by Julius Malema shortly after his court appearance, during which he faced a judge whom he accused of being racist towards him. For a better understanding of the full context, let us now listen to the speech by Julius Malema.
The fact that today was not an easy day, but at the end of the day, the fighters emerged victorious because the ground forces have always stood firm behind the logo of the EFF. We want to salute you, the ground forces, for always being there since 2018 until to date. They thought you were going to be tired, only to find that you have an appointment with the future. And you are not going to be discouraged by a white magistrate who kept us here for so many years. She kept us here for so many years and comes back and blame us for disturbing the courts. We did not come to court on our own. She invited us to the court and we responded. You know, if you don't come to court, you get arrested. If you come to court, they say you are disturbing court. Therefore, you must go to prison for disturbing court. So we don't know what to do anymore. But that was not the law. That was racism speaking. Magistrate Oliver is a racist of note. And she must know that in her sleep, that she's a racist and she's possibly a member of AfriForum. That's why when you mention AfriForum, she cannot hide her emotions. Yesterday, when SC Mugai Toby mentioned AfriForum, she jumped. But it was not Mugai Toby who was mentioning AfriForum. It was the state which wrote in its heads of argument about AfriForum. When he was responding what the state wrote, she said, don't bring AfriForum. And Mugai Toby said, I'm not bringing AfriForum. The state wrote AfriForum in their documents, and I'm responding to what they said. She said, let me read. By the way, she got those heads of arguments 2 months ago. She was not aware that by saying she wants to read inside court, she was confirming that she did not read the heads of arguments. She just entered court without knowing what is contained in the heads, in the arguments that the lawyers were putting before the courts. So we are tried by a magistrate who doesn't read, who read when you appear in front of her. Otherwise, when you are not there, she doesn't read the heads of arguments. If you read heads of arguments and someone says AfriForum, you'll automatically know that I saw AfriForum somewhere in these documents. And you can't ask the question, where is that AfriForum? What are you talking about? We're tried by a magistrate who doesn't read, who uses emotions, who speaks politics, who says we are stopping people who are coming to collect maintenance. We are stopping grannies who want to come to court. But in reality, this court was never closed. The public continued to use this court. So she doesn't have any reason, none whatsoever. She goes around fundraising reasons why we must go to prison. They took a firearm which they say I used. She was not aware when it was mentioned in court that the firearm has been handed over back to the owner. She appeared shocked, but the witness who was testifying for me wrote about the firearm being taken away. She was not aware. You know why? She doesn't read. She doesn't know what is contained in the documents that are before her. So we are dealing with someone who doesn't apply the law. The law, whether you hate someone or not, you have to answer the question, what does the law say on this matter? She will not answer that question because she can't read heads of arguments, 21 pages. And those 21 pages are quoting the judgments which were written before about matters that are similar to this one. How can she read all of those judgments if she can't read 21 pages? So it's clear that even the law that we are referring to, she can't refer to it because her and reading are not friends. They are not the same WhatsApp group. She's the most incompetent magistrate who read a judgment for 3 days. It is never done. She does so because we suspect she doesn't write her own judgments. They ask a simple thing, leave to appeal. It's a simple matter. The state stand up and they do not say anything. You still ask for 30 minutes to grant a leave to appeal or not. You are not asking for 30 minutes. You are still going to ask your masters, do I grant the leave to appeal or not? So you are dealing with an invisible hand that is controlling the proceedings in that particular court. So we must make sure that she gets reported to the Magistracy Council Commission, because the prosecutor knew about the judgment before she could read the judgment. A day before, she told accused number 2, you must go and fetch your gun tomorrow. And the accused number 2 said, you can only fetch a gun if you are not found guilty. How did the prosecutor know that accused number 2 is not going to be found guilty, to an extent that he tells him to go and fetch a firearm? That's the first misconduct the prosecutor committed. The second one, which the Eastern Cape, East London sub-region must go and open a case of perjury. He lies in court yesterday. To lie to court is a criminal offense. He says, we gave the gun to accused number 2 after he was acquitted. When you said not guilty, that's when we gave accused number 2 the gun. But he forgets that when you collect a weapon or item that was used as evidence, when you collect it back, you must sign for it. There must be a date. There must be a time. So if it's 10 o'clock, they will write 10 o'clock, they will write a date. You look at the time of collection and then look at the time of judgment that he collected before the judgment was passed. That is the second misconduct of a prosecutor. But a prosecutor has got no duty to hand over the item which was used in court without a judgment of a judge. He gave himself a power he doesn't have. He took the evidence before the court and handed it over to accused number 2 without a judge saying, you can now return this item back to the owner, or you must give it to the state to destroy it. So he thought he's got the power he doesn't have. The only thing we need to do is to make sure that this prosecutor, who is arrogant and suffers from a short man syndrome, is taught a lesson. And we can only teach him a lesson by sitting on his neck and making sure that he is prosecuted and is arrested for lying to court and is disciplined at work for exercising the powers he doesn't have. And this magistrate must be reported to the commission. Why? How did the prosecutor know about the judgment? Because you are the only one who knows the judgment. Only you, the magistrate, could have told the prosecutor about the judgment. And to tell the prosecutor about the judgment outside the representatives of the accused, it's wrong. It's not allowed in law. If there is anything you want to communicate to the prosecutor, you must call the defense to come and you communicate in front of a defense. So clearly, you've got a special relationship with a prosecutor as a magistrate, and that is a misconduct on its own. So we must make sure that we pursue her for being ill-disciplined and abusing her power as a magistrate. So we are going to appeal this matter. We are going to make sure we go to Grahamstown and we are going to dismiss a judgment which was poorly read and which was poorly written. She has granted us leave for appeal on sentencing and refused to give us leave to appeal on conviction. We must petition the High Court to appeal the guilt verdict and the sentencing itself. Today, because all they wanted was to have me sleep here for one night, but they didn't know the reason why the Deputy President is not here. He is at Grahamstown. Because when you apply for leave to appeal and they refuse it, you have to apply for bail. She has a right to refuse it. Then you must petition the High Court to apply for bail at the High Court. So we've got the Deputy President in Grahamstown with papers ready, so that when she says you are not getting bail, you are going to sleep here, the Deputy President immediately files the papers at the High Court and make an agent application. We are not small children. We prepare for any eventuality. If she goes this way, we go the other way. If she goes this way, we go the other way. Because we know that we are dealing with an invisible hand, and therefore you have to be prepared at all material times. The judge at Grahamstown was ready and waiting to listen to our case at 3 o'clock, because we had already told the clerk of the court that we are coming. Not only that, we had a chopper waiting at the airport for the legal team to fly immediately to Grahamstown. We are fighting the devil, and we must fight with everything. 2 minutes they must see you here, 2 minutes they must see you on the other side. That is the power of the EFF. We prepare from all the fronts because we are fighting the enemy, and the enemy is white supremacists. We can tell you now, no sober judge will ever agree that a person shoot one bullet and then is sentenced for 5 years. It is because she has not read her own judgment to know that a reasonable, normal, presiding officer will never come to that determination. So, comrades, we are done with her. That's why when she said to me, you can leave now on a free bail, I looked at her and I said, bye-bye. Because I've seen her ugly face for too long. So I'm going, I will no longer appear before that ugly white face. I'm going to the highest court where they don't use emotions. They use the law. What does the law say? And apply the law. So we must not even look back. We are going forward. The campaigns of the EFF must continue business as usual. I told you when she found me guilty that I'm going to appeal until the highest court, until the constitutional court. So those who thought they will have me in jail, you must know I'm still around. I'm not going anywhere. I told you yesterday that tomorrow I'm going home with you. And that's what is happening. Wherever the enemy is, it's highly pained by the fact that we are going home. We did not even have to pay for a bail. They just said free bail, go home. So we are going home to work for the EFF. That's what home means. It means the work of the EFF continues. We are going to do our door-to-door. We are going to register those who are not registered. We are going to make sure that we win municipalities when the elections come. They are trying by all means to silence this voice. They will never win. Once more, they failed today. They will fail tomorrow, and they will fail in the near future. The sooner they accept defeat, the better. They will never win against us. They tried us when we're still young, and they will never win with us when we're this old. We've got an experience of a 65-year-old at a 45-year-old. So these members gave me a title called Ishe. That title is only given to people who are 65 years old and above. But I was given that title before I even turned 45. They said when they were arguing with the president of the Lemba Cultural Association that you can't give a child a title reserved for the elders, the president of the Lemba Cultural Association said to them, tell me one thing that he has done, that you have done, which he has not done. We are giving you this title because you are 65. Tell us, is there anything that you did in your life which Julius did not do in his life? They couldn't answer that. But he turned around and said, if we were to ask Julius, have you ever done something that this old man of 65 years he hasn't done? The question is going to be yes. Because he has lived beyond those years you are talking about. When they've written him off and carried coffins and declared him dead, still he emerged and continued with life. When they put a concrete on his grave and thought this plant will never rise because we have put a concrete on this plant, he emerged through concrete. and still he's still standing till today. That's what they don't want to see. When they expelled us from the ANC, Baleka Mbete saw us in parliament. And then she was shocked because she was confusing parliament with ANC meeting. She was like, what are they doing here? Because we expelled them. That's when we had to remind her, or we are not here because you invited us. We are here because our people brought us here, whether you like it or not. So they've been trying to close doors everywhere. Taken my houses, I bought double, triple what they took. Taken everything from me, I've got triple what they took from me. So I don't know why they're not getting tired. And they thought, no, let's leave him, he's going to die. He's overweight, I've lost weight. So I don't have a problem of gout or anything of that sort. They are trying all manner of things. And still I rise. Because they never gave birth to me. And no man or a woman who didn't give birth to me can determine my destination. My destination is in the hands of my ancestors. You fight with me, my ancestors will emerge. They have never failed me. That's why even today, when everybody thought it is done, my ancestors showed up and said, this one of ours, we are going back home with him. And we want to make sure that he returns home safe. So if you've gotten access to them, just tell them, please leave him alone, because he's still going to emerge. When you finish him this side, he comes from the other side. I mean, you were demoralized and thought the EFF was dead when the sellouts were leaving the EFF. 2, 3, 4 people left. 700,000 joined the EFF after 3, 4 people left. They thought that those people formed the EFF. And those people say they formed the EFF because it was formed by you. Why didn't the EFF live with you if you formed it? Why is the EFF still alive after you left if you formed it? They did not form the EFF. The EFF was formed by the blood of the workers of Marikana. The EFF was formed by petrol attendants, by the domestic workers, by security guards, by the unemployed youth of South Africa, by the students of South Africa who wanted to be registered, and only the EFF could register them. The EFF was formed by the poorest masses of our people. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the future generation of African children, because this is the only weapon they have to fight racism, to fight poverty, to fight unemployment, to fight inequality. So no one, no individual must ever claim they formed the EFF. You want to know who formed the EFF? Just go and look at that mountain in Marikana. You will have a sense of where does the EFF come from. The EFF does not come from a village called Mahonisi. It comes from Marikana. That's where we owe our existence to the people of Marikana. We owe our existence to the widows of Marikana. We owe our existence to the children of those who were killed in Marikana. And for as long as the workers are still receiving lower wages and they are still fighting for their rights, the EFF will still exist, whether I like it or not. The EFF is spoiled of choice. You must go and look at the parliamentarians of the EFF. They are the youngest. The rest of other political parties are led by Abu Gogo Nabumkur. Only the EFF has got Naledi Chirwa in parliament. The rest of them have got Sisisi Tolashe. So, once you've got the young on your side, you are guaranteed of the future. We are not a veterans league. We are an organization of young people, very energetic young people, and the future looks bright because we've got Tlelonzi, who is in parliament fighting for the rights of the people of South Africa. We've got all of you here. Even if you kill Malema, another Malema is already born. That Malema will emerge and take the EFF forward. So we want to say to the police, you are here in your numbers, in your uniform instruction, because you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in the office of Oscar Mabuyan because he stole masters at Fort Hare. That's where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be on the streets fighting criminals who are raping women out there. But you are here. There was another one inside court, many of them wearing masks. I was like, why are you wearing masks? Are you that ugly you don't want us to see your face? They must stop sending police to destabilize the proceedings of the court and blame the EFF. They must blame themselves and the police. Why do you bring a special force of police inside court? Majority in that court is old people. The young people are outside. You bring policemen, highly trained, to go and guard this old man who's walking with a stick. Or this, what can this old man do to that old judge? The only thing he can do is to take this stick and point at that judge. So tall and so taller one day. But you bring a special task force in court when there is a problem of extortion in Umtata, when there is a problem of gangsterism in Quebec. You bring police and want to complain about state resources instead of using the resources of the state effectively to fight crime in the Eastern Cape where our people are being murdered. Some commanders do not apply their mind. We were in an ad hoc committee. You remember the EFF shutdown. Police spent 80 million to stop an EFF shutdown. EFF shutdown was a constitutional peaceful protest. How do you spend 80 million as if you are preparing for war? War against your own people. War against the people who voted for the same government. They are protesting, saying, stop load shedding. You spend 80 million on police to go and stop the protest of the EFF instead of taking that 80 million and go and fix Medupi so that our people can get electricity. They are complaining about electricity. We are led by fools. That's why they don't know how to plan. We are led by fools. That's why they steal masters at Fort Hare. So all of those fools must be removed from power. And we can only remove them from power if we go and register young people who are not registered, including yourselves here as ground forces of the EFF. When you go back home, you must take out your phone. Anyone who wants to enter your taxi, you say, give me your ID number. and then you check them on your phone whether they are registered to vote or not. If they are not registered to vote, you don't chase them away. You register them immediately. If they refuse, you must show them taxi rank. Or this is not taxi rank. Taxi rank is that side. This taxi, this bus is for people who are registered to vote for the EFF. If you are not registered, you must never enter the EFF transport. If you are not registered, you must never receive the t-shirt of the EFF. When a person says, give me a t-shirt, or before I give you a t-shirt, come here, ID number. Let me check if you are registered. If a boy proposes you, I think or there is no problem, we'll go to the Tandas. Let's pass the first stage first. Bring your ID. You must tell them, or I don't date people who are not registered. You are a danger to society. I don't date people who are a danger to society. If you are a parent, you must say at home, before I dish up, bring your IDs. I want to check if you are registered, because in my house I will not harbor danger to society. So everyone in your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your schoolmate, your teacher, anyone who want to touch your beer, you must pull it back. Hooray, wait. Fag ID number up. Fag ID number. Fag ID number. When we eat meat here in Eastern Cape, because you like meat too much, and every man goes to the meat with his own knife. Now we no longer demand your knife. It's your knife and ID number before utacha inyama, ungaisiki inyama before ufaki ID number. Once you are not registered, uzoisika inyama, but let's register you first. Inyama ikhona igcwele, but we want to register you first. If he says no, or go sit on the other side. This is the side of registered people. These gogos who vote ANC here in Eastern Cape, you must make a plan for them. There are a lot of gogos. ANC still wins with a lot of numbers in Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape votes for ANC. The following day, they are carrying a coffin, crossing a river to the other side. Only you can stop that. You vote the ANC. The following day, your children cross a river to go to school. They are putting the books on top of their head because their parents have voted for criminals which have eaten money which was supposed to build a bridge in that particular village. So you must stop that. It's not going to be stopped by a man from Sesheu. I can't vote everywhere. I only vote in one voting station. You have to say it's enough. You want mud schools, Eastern Cape. You want a place where children literally are dying, they are being buried, are dying of hunger, Eastern Cape. Everything that is wrong is happening in Eastern Cape. And they call it a province of legends, correctly so. It's a province of Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela, O.R. Tambo, Chris Hani, Govan Mbeki, Thabo Mbeki, you can count them. Yet, service delivery doesn't reflect the struggle credentials of the Eastern Cape. So, you must say, we are not like our gogos. We have honored President Mandela. President Mandela is sleeping. Let him sleep in peace. Oscar Mavuyane doesn't look like President Mandela. I will not vote for Oscar Mavuyane. When they say to you, vote ANC, you must say, you are saying I must vote for Oscar Maboyan, a crook of note, a person who steals education. We grew up being told that no one can steal a qualification. Oscar Maboyan, masters, stolen like Pampas. So you in uniform, go to Oscar Maboyan's office, arrest him. That University of Fort Hare, it needs a special attention. A lot of ANC people are graduating from that University of Fort Hare, and majority of their qualifications is fake qualifications. So we need an SIU report on the qualifications of Fort Hare.
In his address to supporters today, Julius Malema strongly condemned the court's decision as a continuation of systemic racism and political persecution in post-apartheid South Africa. He reiterated that the judiciary remains influenced by forces hostile to radical economic transformation and the aspirations of black South Africans. Despite receiving a 5-year sentence for unlawful firearm possession and related charges, with leave to appeal granted, Malema vowed that neither he nor the economic freedom fighters would be silenced or deterred. He called on fighters to remain resolute, united and committed to the struggle for true liberation and land expropriation without compensation. The EFF leader framed the ruling not as a personal defeat but as further evidence of the urgent need to confront institutional bias and advance the revolutionary agenda of the people.